Jaguar Wright. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Did Jaguar Wright just go on Piers Morgan Show and do what she just did? I'm glad I didn't watch this yesterday. I would have probably busted a blood vessel. But what? Hi, I'm Karceno. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Karceno and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Now, Jaguar Wright went on Piers Morgan Show, and oh my God, it was like watching a reality show, because Piers Morgan was supposed to be this esteemed show where they have people on this show that really meant something. They really lowered their status by letting Jaguar Wright come up there and spew slanderous, no fact-based, didn't answer a question. She just went there to freestyle and take and do her agenda. Oh yeah, I mean, come on, it's salacious. How can you sit there and say these words on basically a network like that don't fact check? One, you're taking the information from a woman who has been in mental health facilities, and you're propping her up as if she's a credible source of information, when she was on your show, Piers Morgan, and said she was a dominatrix before she got a record deal, and she was working with sex workers. Do you know sex workers are illegal? That's just another name for saying prostitution. It's nuts. Now, I heard her and Star went back and forth. Now, I'm going to keep it to the Piers Morgan interview. We'll get into the Star thing a little bit later, but I want to get into this so that people will understand it a lot more. What people didn't get and didn't understand about the outscope of what they were saying is that she was there to paint an agenda. She never ever told the audience how Jay-Z is related or basically connected to Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, because if Jay-Z's connected to Diddy and all of them, there are many other people that are connected to them that Jaguar Wright happens to know as well. And she chose not to name them, even though she forgot to omit the fact that she was once defending Jay-Z just a few years ago. So why 2-3 years ago you was, oh, Jay-Z is so smart, and Jay-Z is this, and Jay-Z is that, with all these roses. Then all of a sudden, it's Jay-Z's the devil. So now all of a sudden, because I guess he kept ignoring you when you were trying to be, I guess, noticed, and he wasn't paying any attention to you, that this became the new motive. This became the new motivation, is we're going to run this narrative over and over again till your ears bleed. And what is that narrative? That narrative is that Jay-Z and Diddy are all in cahoots, and Beyonce and all of these people are all in this conspiracy that Jaguar Wright wants to dwell and relish in. She said Diddy did all these acts on Christopher Williams, and she saw this firsthand, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry you had to see that." Diddy, a man who's always done his business in private, never out in the open. Did he do any of his activities? All of these people who are alleging all of these things. And even on this show, I'm still shocked. Piers Morgan, who comes off as a very credible show, every person he had on there came up and made allegations and calling people victims. They're not victims. They are accusers. They're not victims. We don't know if they're victims. So we can't say victim 1, victim 2, victim 3. They're accuser 1, accuser 2, and accuser 3. Because 1, we can't say they've been victimized. We have no proof of that. These are people that's just making accusations. So we can't go off the strength of, oh, they just said this, so we just got to believe them at face value. If that's the case, what are we doing about the judicial system? Now they could just paint any picture they want, throw it on the internet, make you look bad, go to trial, convict you, and nobody will bat an eye. Nothing is based on evidence anymore. People all ready to convict Diddy. Nobody's seen any evidence. Nobody's seen anything. You're just hearing them tell you stuff. And like sheep, you move along. Now, all of a sudden, all of these women, all of a sudden, just happen to come out of the blue. Your common sense narrative should reign supreme. Your common sense level should reign and start to tell you something's wrong. Because in your walk of your mind, all of a sudden they say, oh, we had a 9-year-old boy who said this. He was going to be made a star, and Diddy was going to do this. Then he did these same things and took them from state to state. What? But he's doing a civil trial. Since when? Now, we've seen things that didn't sit well with us. We saw stuff that made our stomachs turn. Now, when I see things that don't usually, add up, and I start saying to myself, I say, oh, well, let's kind of, revisit this at another time because things might get a little out of hand. But what Jaguar Wright did was come up there and spew so much garbage. It was unbelievable. Everybody on that panel that they had was just a Slander. I mean, it felt like Nancy, what's her name? Nancy Grace. That's what I felt like I was watching. Nancy over the top Grace. Rather than watching a Piers Morgan program that's supposed to be about facts. And no, we got narratives. Oh, she knows firsthand about these freak offs. Yeah, because she was doing these things. Right? But she was your low tier. She wasn't a Diddy freak off. Did she ever say that? No, because she knows she wasn't. She knew she was never in a Diddy freak off. Has she been around freak offs? Absolutely. But how about you tell the whole general public the truth? Who were you in those freak offs with? Since you witnessed firsthand, you got firsthand knowledge to a freak off. Tell the public the truth. But you can't. Why can't you? Who are you protecting? See, you can't call Sean Puffy Combs the devil while protecting other devils. Can't say Sean Puffy Combs is the devil, but you protecting devils. What you and Scott Storch was doing in those houses when Paris Hilton was there? Whose house was y'all at? Scott Storch wasn't DJing that night. Did you forget? Scott Storch wasn't the DJ that night. But you was in that all white house. Whose party was that? Whose house was that? Jag? And what was you doing there? You were dating Scott Storch. DJ AM was the DJ. Paris Hilton hired him. You remember this now? Was Sean Puffy Combs there? No, he wasn't. But why don't you talk about what really happened that night and who all was there? You never engaged in that because you want to keep everything about Jay-Z. Jay-Z wasn't there. Puffy wasn't there. Clive Davis wasn't there. At that party. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't there. Who was at that party? Jimmy Iovine wasn't there. You know who was there? A lot of white people. Lots of them. White, rich, celebrity kids, record executives, all of them. But you never mention any of them. And you know what I know, Jag. They way worse. They way worse than Diddy and the rest of them, and you know them, and you haven't said a word. Why? Why, Jag? Why would you turn on the black people when you know they don't possess any real power? Is it because that's the fact you do it? Is because you know they don't have the real power and you're going to be like this? See, you're not dumb. You're smart. You know who to go after and who not. You went out to Clive Davis because it was personal. Clive Davis don't come out to those type of parties. You'll never see Clive at a party like that. Stop. Come on now, you know better. Now, how many record execs that you know that was in the game? How many parties did you go to that Russell Simmons and Brett Ratner was at? You know better than this, Jag. Jag, you know better. Who was in charge of the fashion game? You know the fashion modeling game is where this game really goes and takes place, right? That this is basically training them and grooming them for this type of lifestyle, to how to be with rich men. They train them. And they're auditioning like they're just walking candy on that catwalk. They're brainwashed into this world of reality that they want them to be in. You know this, Jag. Remember when they had you on the diet, told you need to lose weight? And you was in all type of freaky stuff, smoking weed, drinking, doing drugs. Diddy didn't make you do that. Jay-Z didn't make you do that. Beyonce didn't make you do that. All these other people made you do it, right? When are you going to accept any responsibility for you? You had a voice of an angel. God gave you a voice of an angel. And that voice could have carried you to high heights, way beyond what you were doing. But you couldn't let go of the nonsense. You were so attracted to the drug life and pills and all of these medications from all the mental things that you were going through in your past. You couldn't let that go. Then the loss of your son, that was a powerful blow that I wish on no human being, or loss of a child. There's no recovery from that in such a horrific way. To have that happen is just, that's nightmarish. And nobody's mental state is probably going to be okay after surviving something like that. And Piers Morgan, and his research team, they deserve 90% of the blame, because they're there for the salaciousness of the entire process of the interview. If I'm Jay-Z lawyers, if I'm any of these guys' lawyers, I'm going after Piers Morgan big time, because that's a platform. You put somebody out there, millions of people are watching this slander, baseless slander against me, when there's no actual claim of anything they've done. She just demonized these people and didn't explain anything that they've actually done. And Piers Morgan just sat there like, not asking her to, can you expand on any situation that Jay-Z would be involved in? Aaliyah, she was unconscious on the plane. They carried her out because one guy said it in a conspiracy theory attempt that she was completely out of it. She was completely drugged up and they threw her on the plane. Hype Williams didn't let her fly on his plane. Why didn't he just let Aaliyah on the plane? Aaliyah was flying with the crew and everything on her plane because they were going to film over there and she was pushing for them to go. Everybody in the staff and the people that was there saying that she was very impatient, ready for us to go. They told them, we got to make more flights. Like, we got to make like more than all this stuff can't go. It have to go on another flight. She pushed for them to get all of it on the plane and go at once. How about the fact, Jag, you never brought up the fact that the pilot should have been suspended. He was on coke. He had coke all in his system. He had been suspended. He shouldn't even been flying. Well, so why wasn't that the case? And what would be the point of someone trying to eliminate Aaliyah? What would be the reason? She's just about to become a star. Like, she's popular with us, but she's just getting ready to star in a bunch of movies. She was getting ready to star in the Matrix film. They were just getting ready to make money off of her and prop her up the right way. So now, all of a sudden, everybody's just stupid, right? And you're the only smart one. It's sad to see what happened to Jaguar, right? It's sad, but this money and salacious, anything that's sensationalism and salacious attacks, all that stuff it's gold. You're shopping with dynamite right there. You're fishing with dynamite, rather. So you're doing your part. But this is why I never really get caught into the Jaguar Wright cycle, because once you realize, like, wait a minute, it's like she'll be telling some stories, then it goes into psycho mode, and she just goes off whatever conspiracy theory that's floating around out there. She picks it up and she runs with it. Was Jag in the industry? Yes. Was she around some stories? Absolutely, she was around some stories. Jaguar Wright knows a lot of things in here, but she does protect certain people. She doesn't tell the whole truth, because notice, she never really tells about herself. She never really goes deep into herself and her involvement into this, because it would dilute her credibility. It was like, okay, well, you were doing all these drugs that, this person was, who you dating was a full-fledged drug addict at the proud time. Full-fledged drug addict. The guy you was married to, drug addict. You sleeping around with other people who were drug addicts. What were you? The person that didn't do the drugs or the person that did a lot of them? So my point is this: be factual, okay? Be factual. Nobody's bothering you. Nobody's doing anything, but be factual in this. You got a grievance with Jay-Z over something that has something to do with you. Has nothing to do with nothing else. This has something to do with you and nothing else. Oh, well, you hear it a lot. Because when you start seeing people move in a way that doesn't make a lot of sense, you start to figure things out in your own mind. And the more I watch things develop and play out, the more open I start to see the field. And everybody's caught up in sensationalism. And now you got all of these other people that worked for these major record companies. All of these guys never get mentioned. They never get brought up. When did she mention the white guys? You know, the guys who were the movers and shakers. The former head of Warner Brother Records. UMG. Why you didn't mention his name? I mentioned his name plenty of times. You want to talk about partying? How you leave out Todd? Todd Moskowitz. How you leave him out? How you leave Todd out? If you know what I know, and I know you know what I know, how you leave Todd out? You ever been to one of Todd's parties? I'm quite sure you probably have. Jay-Z's worse than Todd? Really? Are we doing this? Or are we just gonna just throw people's names around and not tell the truth? You're gonna go with the agenda that you got, right? You know what happened at his parties? I know you do, Jag. I never see you mention him once. Not once. That was Leor Cohen's best friend. Julie Greenwald's best friend. Kevin Lyle's best friend. He goes everywhere Leor takes him. Leor put all of these people in position to run all of the record labels. Did it shock you? For some reason, you never mentioned the fact that Leor Cohen is the guy that went ahead and dissolved all of these record companies. He was the main figurehead for it. He left Def Jam. He went to Arista. He was president there. And he put Julie Greenwald there, and he left. He went to another company, left them in charge, his team, and he'll take Kevin Liles and said, okay, you're going to run this. He goes over here and said, okay, I'm going to run this company. You're going to be under me. Then I'm going to leave, and then you're going to be running it. All his people he put under him, his team. Lucian Grange's son had his own record label. 10 bands? Everybody likes this kid, right? Everyone who wanted to become a president of another record label or whatever they couldn't have a record company. They had to sell it. Why does he get to keep his record label? When they told us we had to sell it. Def Jam, Jay-Z, to become president of Def Jam, had to sell Rockefeller away. Couldn't have that record label and be president. It's a conflict of interest, right? Tell me why he gets to keep 10 bands. And everybody else had to get rid of it. Everybody who got a record label who was going to be president had to give up their record label. L.A. Reid, right? He had to give up LaFace. He couldn't be a part owner of LaFace Records and be vice president of Def Jam. Nope. Had to get rid of it. Lucian Grange is never going to respond. They're all on a Lucian loan. He distributes and gives the loans out to Diddy, right? That's what Lucian Grange does. Diddy is on a loan. And all of these rappers are on loans. I keep trying to tell people they're not as rich as you think they are. Rich means you don't no longer have to work for anything else that you have. You don't have to do anything. That's real wealth, where you could just sit still and the money will still keep coming in. It'll still keep pouring and nobody will change or say a thing about it. You know why? There's nothing to say. There is absolutely zero zilch, nothing to say about any of it. Lucian can give up as much as he wants. As long as Diddy owns that Bad Boy catalog, he could keep taking loans out on that Bad Boy catalog because that songs with Biggie, Maze, that stuff still makes money. It's timeless. And that's how Big Diddy is able to maintain his wealth. And the fact that he was once managing artists, which he was good at. But now, off the strength of all of this, they would never let Diddy back in the business. But Lucian Grange, as far as Lucian is supplying Diddy with women and all that, Lucian don't have nothing to do with that. Lucian really was cool with Diddy in the recent years. Like, she think Diddy is still the same guy. He's always been violent. Diddy has changed completely. People evolve. When they get older, they're not the same way they used to be, Jack. Diddy is not the same guy he was back in 98 and 99 and 2000. He's turned a whole new leaf. It ain't an act. He's actually a different human being. He's not the same guy he used to be. And other people have said it. Like, Diddy's not even the guy he used to be anymore. And you get like that when you get older. You don't do all the silly stuff you used to do back in the day. I'm not defending Diddy. Do I think Diddy abused women? Yes. Yes, he has. And y'all knew about it and didn't give a damn. Y'all had a woman come on here who dated Diddy, said Diddy stomped on her and everything, and y'all didn't bat an eye. None of y'all cared. None of y'all went on the show and said, he's a monster. None of that. I ain't said nothing. Because if Diddy would have gave y'all a bag, y'all would have shut up and not said a word. Well, when people understand that the game is greater than what they portray it to be, and you stop protecting the real enablers, how you gonna come after Diddy and Jay-Z and Beyonce? Really? What has Jay-Z done? Has Jay-Z been in a freak off? Absolutely not. And you've never seen Jay-Z in no damn freak off. Jay-Z wouldn't even be in a freak off like that. Wasn't that kind of guy. And you should know that. Did Jay mess around? Of course he did. We all knew that. People around him knew that. But he was never going to do what y'all thought he was going to do. And the way he was going to move. He moves in silence. And he's not going to have 30 possible witnesses in a room or any other people in the room while he's doing his business. And you just, any conspiracy theory you could think of in your head, you could pull up, you're going to do it. Well, see, you got to understand that when people get on a show and they start going back and forth, you start seeing the realities of what's to come. I have no protection of Jay-Z whatsoever. No protection of Jay. No protection of Jay-Z whatsoever. You already know that. Dre is a shrewd businessman. But to say he's running all these rings and he's doing this or that, and when you're not even trying to go after the real people in the game, I don't respect you. It seems like you want to go after successful black men because they're easy to go after because nobody's going to care about them, right? They think that about us anyway. We're all gay, swinging. We make some money. We must have did some gay stuff to get it. No one could just be smart. No one can just make it because they have a worth, something they bring to the table. That's how business works, Jag. You have to have something you bring into the table. That's why you're on Piers Morgan, because you had something to bring to the table. Nobody said you was over there blowing Piers Morgan. That's how you got on the show. Right? I mean, nobody's saying that. So the facts remain to all be the same thing. All the people that's laid everything out on a foundation floor for everybody could see, the whole world could make their own opinions too. Now you get to see how it plays out in front of the real world where the whole world is watching. You get to make the decisions. You as the people can decide what is what and who's lying and who's telling the truth, who's seeing it from the right scope or the right lens and the right eyes. Why they never mention these people? Why they never tell you about all this? They want to tell you about Lucian Grange because Kanye West actually brought up Lucian Grange. He just brought up the fact that Lucian has the money. Lucian has the money. He just finances things. Lucian's not there with them in the room juggling their balls and nothing like that. The people around him that he hang around want to be around him. You'll never see a picture of Drake and Lucian Grange. Drake tried not to be in photographs with Lucian Grange. The Weeknd, oh, he don't mind. That's why he has a more tighter relationship with The Weeknd than he does with Drake. But they're never going to tell you that because Kanye West said, Drake got a rich baby daddy. And Drake signed a deal that didn't make any sense. But if you knew what was really going on, then you would say, yeah, it does make sense. He needed that money. He needed the upfront money. And he was starting out, new record deal. So he signed with the label Relativity, so he got that deal, distribution by Lucian Grange. Lucian basically will have no problem with that record label. And that's that. Kendrick has his own label. Drake does not. Drake is signed to a label he does not own, yet again. And then he's being distributed by Universal. So he's taking a 360 deal where he's all his concert promotions, he got to split those, whatever the splits are. I won't say they 50-50, but whatever the numbers and percentages are, he's splitting that. Merch sales, everything. Lucian has his hands in everything Drake. They own your likeness. They own everything you distribute until you recoup that money that you borrowed from them. That's why you're on tour twice a year, doing crazy tours, because you need, those tours are bringing in 100 million a pop, and you need that because Lucian got to get that money. And they was like, dude, who tours this much? Like older bands tour because that's how they get their money when they're older, and then they can go out and collect the money. But it's like, damn, dog, you working like crazy for somebody who's the #1 rapper in the game. It's like, dude, they keep you on around the clock. You never hear about any of these guys no more. I'm not saying Todd didn't change the way Todd used to be. Right? I'm not saying Todd didn't change. He's probably grown up from way back then. We're talking 20, 30 years ago. But we know what Todd was back in the day. Right? We know what group he was in. We know what those parties looked like. Why don't you talk about these parties, Jack? How you go on there and bash all of the black entertainers in the business. You blast Alicia Keys, who never did nothing to you. You broke the guy I was dating hard. He was dating you, and then he was dating me. Really? You mad he wanted Alicia Keys over you? Everybody showed you love. You used to go to the jazz festival in Philly, and people saw you and say, hey, Jag, I would give you love. And all you want to do is talk about Alicia Keys' acne and talk bad about her when she's there. People wanted to get away from you because they was just like, she's just so negative. Jill Scott, another person who's never done nothing to you in her life, but you want the war with Jill Scott, call her all kind of names, tell her she's this, tell her she's that. All because of an inner hurt, because they chose Jill Scott over you. You couldn't get the same love, and you felt I sing better than Jill Scott. Now you have a better vocal. You have a better vocal than Alicia Keys, but she had better songs. You never got that chance because your album flopped. But my thing is, you knew everything that was going on in this business. Everything that was going on and all the stuff that you voluntarily did yourself. You try to play victim. And I can't sit here and allow that to go without being checked. Oh, yeah, we'll go into more Todd stuff on the Patreon for those who are asking, who just learning for the first time about Todd. Now, oh, we went through all of it now. Come on now. That's Todd back in the day. And you know how Todd was. Todd was, he was sniffy jiffy, baby. Flower power, booger sugar, 100 miles an hour. You know what was going on because you was around him too. Right, Jack? We could do this all day. So if you was in a freak off, please, since you so exposing the industry, whose freak off was you at? Because you damn sure wasn't at Diddy's. So whose freak off was you at? Damn sure wasn't Sean Carter's. So who freak off was you at? The public would love to know. Wouldn't y'all love to know? Serious? No. The record company has been messed up. Well, see, when you're white, it's just considered a white boy night. But ask Ty what happened to his hand, Jag. You want to go over that? What happened? You know what happened, Jag? Don't worry, I do. We'll cover that later. No, because they understood. They knew better. Oh, yeah, the woman who was called once the most ugliest troll in the game. They called her Gargamel. You remember her? She looked like Gargamel from the Smurfs. And that person is out of the record business right now because he said that. And once it got back to her, she got that person out the record business. Julie Greenwald, a.k.a. Gargamel. See, I know things too, Jag. I know a lot of things too. They got that person up out of the business. And who gave her this power? Who was her boss? Who was the one that put her in position and said, you're going to run this company? Y'all already know, right? We've already told you. Leora Cohen. So don't forget to hit the like button, y'all. Donate to the Cash App, which is Karceno, by the way, in case y'all didn't know. This is real hip-hop talk here. Oh, you make fun of Julie, you're out of the game. You would never be back in music. Nothing, period.
You been mind fucked before?
I don't think so.
I'm mind fucking you right now.
You are?
Can you feel my dick fucking your mind?
I can't really feel anything.
See, that's it. That's the art of it. I'm mind fucking the shit out of you.
Hope you're wearing a condom, because I have a dirty mind.
And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So I'm out once again. Thanking you and Kwame Brown, Bus Life, Ticket TV, The Dreamers Pro, and we up out the door. Oh yeah, damn DPOV. My Patreon is called Karceno for Life. Definitely go check that out. Just if you got to download the app or whatever, you're gonna want the information on the music business, everything. You know, we break it down to you real. And we about, bro.